everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing the monthly routine where I do my reading log for the month of all the books that I read this month. So there's some heavy hitters this month with more focus on the completed side of this video rather than the in progress side, because I did wrap up a couple of series that I was in progress with last video, so that's great. As usual, we will have the timestamps left down below for you to navigate the video, because I know not everyone will be interested in listening to me talk about every single series in the video. And I have actually implemented a new section to the video. Basically, I'm going to call it the rapid fire section, where I kind of talk about, just like one volume that I read, like of series that I keep up with when they come out, so that it'll be pretty quick. Rapid fire. So first we're going to start off with the rapid fire section, transition into the in progress section, which is going to be series where I read like multiple volumes, and then lastly is the completed section, which needs no explanation. So we can hop right into it with the first rapid fire book for today. Spy Family. I recently read the volume that just came out, Spy Family Volume 9. And, when I came to writing the guide for this video, I realized that I honestly didn't have much to say about this one. We are seeing like the end of the cruise arc in this book, but I feel like the biggest parts of the cruise arc were completed in the previous volume, so there's not much to write home about when it comes to this. There are a couple of like more filler type of chapters. Filler is not the right word for that. It's more of just chapters that will transition us into the next major arc. Those are always fun. There was one that was really interesting with Bond and like him trying to help people because he wanted like praise, but he didn't want them to know that he can read the future, so it was like, oops. But yeah, things like that, always fun. That's kind of what you come to Spy Family for, Not everything has to be an action-packed cruise arc. Sometimes the more filler type of chapters are always fun, so I'm excited to see what happens in the next volume. I always love a good Spy Family. I just wish they came out more often. I think they come out every 6 months, and it's like, I'd love to see more Spy Family more frequently than that, but, the chapters release bi-weekly, so I understand that pumping out volumes is not as frequent as something that releases weekly, like other series. So, yeah, that's Spy Family. And our other rapid-fire series for today is My Dress-Up Darling. I'm caught up with the chapters. I usually keep up with them, but sometimes I kind of forget that the series exists, and then I go back and I read the chapters that I missed for those few months. But I recently did catch up, so thoughts on the final arc, the last arc transitioning into the next arc, which is going to be the final arc apparently. Or, I don't know, it feels like it is. They dropped the name of the series. Just, it feels like the final boss of the series right now, so I feel like it's the final arc, but I don't know. But, so the last arc was the, like, dinner cosplay arc, where they were cosplaying, like, this horror series where they were at a dinner, and it was like a group cosplay, and there's a lot of new characters and stuff. I think that the way My Dress-Up Darling has set itself up from the start, I don't care about the side characters very much, so when we get an arc that's focused on the side characters, I lose interest. So that's kind of also why, like, I stopped reading as they came out. Like, I kind of forgot about it because I wasn't as interested in this last arc. So, but the arc that we're in now with the, like, I don't even know what exactly the cosplay is, but I know that it's, like, it's very important to everyone involved, so, I think it's going to be cute so far. Right now, they're just kind of, like, buying the stuff for the cosplay. They haven't really gotten that deep with it, but we'll see what happens in the romance department, because that's, like, half the reason that I'm here. So I would like to see some romantic developments between Marin and Gojo at some point, but, we're still chugging along. I'm still enjoying it and, keeping up with it, but I probably won't invest any money into it. I just don't like it that much, yeah. So our first formal in-progress series for this month is actually Pokemon Adventures Volume 2. I am getting back into Pokemon Adventures. So the whole thing is that, I'm on a mission to complete Pokemon. Like, I'm gonna play all the games, I'm gonna watch the whole anime, I'm gonna read all the manga, right? So I was trying to, like, do them, like, Kanto game, Kanto anime, Kanto manga at the same time, and just kind of transition like that. So I'm on Orange Islands of the anime right now, so I thought that the yellow arc would be a good, like, complement to that, but then I stopped watching the anime, so I was like, I can't read the manga if I'm not watching the anime. I need to do them at the same time so that, like, I don't get thrown off too much. It's not a good excuse. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best excuse I've come up with, but anyways, we're back into it, and that's all that matters. The next arc of the series, we had the red, blue, green arc, and now we're in the yellow arc, where we introduced a character named Yellow, a manga exclusive type of character who, they have the ability to heal Pokemon as well as like deeply understand a Pokemon's thoughts. So they're on a mission to kind of save Red, who has disappeared after like a battle that Red had with the Elite Four. So this is like the Kanto Elite Four's like big debut. And, similar to the previous arc, a lot of the characters from the video games are given new life in the manga where, they get a new type of personality and new backstories and new different alignments. Like, I feel like the video game has very 2D personalities for a lot of, especially like the first games where there would, there's not much that they thought they could do with the series, but yeah, a lot of like the first generation characters don't have much of a personality. So the manga kind of fleshes them out and gives them backstories and like even changes whether they're good or bad. And with the Elite Four, I think that this is super interesting. Lance is one of my favorite Elite Four characters like of all time. So I love him and I love seeing him in this like new kind of evil light. It's very, very interesting. I also really enjoy Yellow as a protagonist. I feel like Yellow kind of reminds me of like Gon from Hunter x Hunter. If you're familiar with that series, I feel like they're like cousins. Their personalities are quite similar in the sense that, Gon doesn't really know much. Like you spend a lot of the series kind of learning about the world alongside Gon because he didn't know that much. He just wanted to be a hunter, and I feel like that's how Yellow is. Like Yellow just wants to be really close with Pokemon, but doesn't know much about like the battling and like other aspects of Pokemon. Just that they really enjoy being around them. I think that there's parallels there, and I think that it's really cute. So I do think that this arc, the Yellow arc, will be wrapped up in the next omnibus. So I'm super excited to get into that. I probably should have read it. I should have just finished this arc, but I didn't, and that's my bad. I don't know when. I need to really zoom through the Orange Islands anime so I can comfortably get into like gold and silver next. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. I really love it. I love Pokemon, so duh, I'm gonna like the manga as well. But I did pose this question before when I talked about the first omnibus, but I'm gonna pose it again. Like, if you didn't know anything about Pokemon, do you think that this would be good? Like, would you recommend this to somebody who, like, doesn't know anything about Pokemon, but, like, wants to kind of get into Pokemon or, like, get to know Pokemon more? Would you recommend this manga as, like, a gateway into that? I think in the first video I mentioned that I was unsure about that question, but I feel like after the Yellow arc, at least what I've read so far of it, I think the answer to that question is actually yes, I do recommend it. I think that the manga lends itself to very interesting styles of battle, like, obviously, when you're programming a game, there's different mechanics, and it's a little more difficult to be very unique with the battle, especially in a turn-based thing. Like, yeah, I think that the battle system in Pokemon doesn't lend itself to very unique things to happen, but in the manga, obviously, it's art, like, in the form of drawing, so you can have a lot more freedom. You don't have to be confined to, like, the limits of a computer when you're writing the manga, and, paneling and stuff really makes the battles more unique. Like, Pokemon can pull different techniques. You can like train them to do unique things. Like there's I think it's Bruno there's somebody who like throws their balls in a specific way. Obviously you can't do all that in a game, but yeah, overall I think that there's like very interesting aspects to Pokemon. Also, like, it's pretty accurate, the types advantages and like which ones are strong and which ones are not. Like, that's pretty accurate to the game, so I think that it's very good, and one of the stronger pieces of Pokemon media, for sure. So, those are my thoughts on Pokemon Adventures, yeah. So, the other in-progress series for this month is actually, Life Lessons with Uramichi Oniisan. This kind of comes out of left field for me, I think, but I saw it at the library one day, and I decided that I would check it out for the fun of it, and right off the bat, I really like it, like. So basically the story follows a 31-year-old named Uramichi who works on a children's program as one of the hosts and does activities with the children on TV, but he's a very cynical person and like kind of hates his life low-key, but he kind of lets that kind of sprinkle into the TV program, and like everyone kind of sprinkles it into the TV program. And at first, I know that I've seen people have criticisms of the series that, oh, like, don't ruin the children's innocence, blah, blah, blah. Like, first off, I don't care about the children's innocence. And second off, I feel like the way they do it is not as bad as people make it seem. Like, the children are kind of in on it, too. Like, it's funny how the children are also like, wow, like, I don't want to be like him when I grow up. Like, that's funny. Like, I'm glad that they see it in that way and not like, oh my god, the world sucks, right? So anyways, yeah, that's the story of Uramichi Oniisan. There are also side characters. That's another thing I didn't know. I thought it was just him. But there's, like, side characters and, like, a whole cast that, honestly, like, I really love the cast. So basically, there are two guys who dress up as, like, the bunny and the bear. There's a lot of, like, bunny bear motifs on the covers. That's them right there. Wow, who knew? And they actually went to college with Uramichi. Out of the two, I really like the bunny guy. He's pretty pathetic, and it's kind of funny, like, how pathetic he is. So, yeah. And then there's two other characters. There's a male, like, singer guy. He's pretty funny because he's very, like, airheady. Like, he has no thoughts. And he laughs at poop jokes. Like, he has no higher thoughts in his brain at all, which is very funny. And then the other person is a girl who is, like, she's, like, a washed-up singer who, like, sings on this children's TV program now. But she has a, like, comedian boyfriend who's also, like, he hasn't taken off yet or anything, and she just wants to get married, and he doesn't want to marry her because he's afraid of commitment. I don't know, but yeah, I always like the whole, oh, when am I gonna get married thing, because I'm not gonna get married, so I think it's interesting that you guys think you're gonna get married. But anyways, I think the reason I like it so much, especially, like, right now, is because I'm pretty cynical about my life right now, and I feel like I can relate to the way Uramichi just kind of drops it randomly. It's like, wow, I hate my life. And I'm like, wow, me too. So, that's kind of why I can relate to it. So I think it's funny, but, yeah, I really like it. And I'm definitely going to buy it and have it on my collection just because, like, I think it'll be interesting to look back and see how I like it when, hopefully, manifesting that I start to actually enjoy my life. I think it'll be interesting to look back and be like, oh, like, does it still hold up even though I don't relate to him anymore? I recommend. I really do. If you hate your life, I recommend. So now we're in the completed section. So the first completed series for this month is Perfect World. I don't have the physicals with me because I rented them from the library and I had to return them. But I did read this Hit Josei series. It's always been on my radar, but I was a bit apprehensive about picking it up, like purchasing it. Because, I've heard really great things about it, but I've also heard some not so great things. So I was like on the fence about it. But luckily, my library did have like pretty much the whole series. So I was able to just go and pick it up and binge through it. But, yeah, so let's get into the synopsis. Basically, we follow a girl. I don't remember her. I think she's around 26, the main female lead. She lives in Tokyo. She is, like, an interior designer. And, she crosses paths again with one of her old high school friends who she did have a crush on in high school. So he was the basketball star in high school. All she knew about him was that, like, he played basketball and, like, loved architecture. But, he actually did become an architect and he lives in Tokyo now. But he did suffer a major accident. So now he is wheelchair bound. And, the series basically is following the trials and tribulations of, being in a relationship with somebody who is disabled and all of the struggles that entails for everyone involved. So, yeah, but there's also, like, a lot of bullshit drama that happens, and, like, we'll get into it. Trust me, we'll get into that part of it. So one of my issues with the series is that I just thought that the relationship itself would be compelling enough to tell a story. Like, the concept of, an able person entering the life and the world of, like, a disabled person is compelling enough. Like, a lot of people, like me personally, I had never really thought about all these things until I read the series. And, like, I think that as a concept would be compelling enough. But, of course, they had to add love polygons into the mix. And it's so frustrating because, the first few volumes focus primarily on the couple. And there's a couple of incidents that occur. First, Ayukawa, the male lead, he does end up getting sick and in the hospital. And this is Kawana, the female lead's main realization that this is very serious. Like, yes, he is very happy-go-lucky on his day-to-day life, but, you know, his health can deteriorate at any time, and that's, like, the reality of his situation. And it's, like, a very big realization moment for her. And then on the flip side, Kawana does end up in an accident later on, and this kind of makes Ayukawa realize that, you know, he's not able to take care of her the way that he would like to. It makes sense in the context of the accident, but I'm not trying to explain the entire series to you guys. So those two incidents were, like, pretty compelling, and I thought that they told a very good story. And then also there are side characters that, you know, add more into it that are also disabled. Like, there was the high school couple that I really loved the high school couple. I thought that their story was really sweet. And then there was another side character story about a couple that actually got their house, like, custom designed and built by Ayukawa and Kawana. Kind of, they work together as interior designers and architectures. There's a lot of side characters that I think are better than, like, the second male lead and the second female lead. So let's get into let's talk about the second male lead and the second female lead, because they are actually, like, repulsive. So the male lead is a guy named Kawada. The names were really throwing me. They're so similar to each other. Ayukawa, Kawana, Kawada, like, come on. Same cadence. But anyways, so he's a boy who also attended the same high school as the other two. He actually had a crush on Kawana the whole time, and, you know, they crossed paths again, and I think he kind of represents like a traditional able-bodied relationship. Like, he's got a good job, he's conventionally attractive, he's able-bodied, he can take care of her. That's the whole thing. He can take care of her. There is a point in time where she dates him. And also, like, her parents don't like Ayukawa, but they liked Kawada, mostly based on the fact that they didn't even give Ayukawa a chance just because he was in a wheelchair, but they gave the other guy a chance because he could walk. And that was pretty ridiculous, but I think that that's something that is probably pretty common. So I liked Kawada's role in the story thematically. He's also, like, a huge cuck, like, literally the biggest cuck I've ever seen in my life. Quite literally, this man is with his girlfriend, you know, the Kawana, like, they date. Kawada and Kawana, they have a relationship at some point. They're literally together. Kawada knows that Kawana still likes Ayukawa, and he literally says, "I know you're still in love with your ex," and still proceeds to date her. If that's not the biggest cuck behavior I've ever seen in a manga in my life, I want you to know that he was actually ridiculous. Like, stand up, king. Like, please have some more dignity. He was throwing me the whole series. Like, I didn't like him, but I felt like he's so pathetic. It was ridiculous. And the only reason I say that I don't, like, hate him that much is because I hate somebody more, and that is the female lead. And guess what? Her name sounds like everyone else's names. Her name is Nagakawa. She is the nurse who, like, she was assigned to be Ayukawa's nurse back when he first was injured, but she ultimately, like, retired from that position and just became, like, a caretaker for him. Just out of the goodness of her heart, except not really, because she's in love with him and, you know, she's doing it for her own gain. She's actually the worst. I cannot stand that woman. I think that she also, you know, thematically plays a similar role to Kawada in the sense that, you know, it would be convenient for Ayukawa to date somebody who has a lot of medical experience, who could take care of him in, you know, sickness and in health, whatever. She would be able to take care of him. Like, thematically, that's what she was trying to be the role for. But I don't like the power imbalance between, like, your nurse as a patient. Like, not only are you a patient, but you're, like, a chronic patient. It's one thing if you, like, broken your arm, whatever. But, like, you're continually seeing this nurse. And I think that that power imbalance is very weird and kind of predatory in a way. But they're adults, so I don't know if that's the word for it. But, like, yeah, I didn't like that power imbalance, and she was definitely playing into it, because there's the same part where I was saying at the beginning of the series when Ayukawa falls ill and has to go to the hospital. Kawana, like, kind of makes some poor decisions in that situation, and Nagakawa is like, oh, like, don't, like, get out of my way, like, I'm trying to take care of him, blah, blah, and, like, my thing with that is that she's not saying that in the sense of, like, yo, like, get out of my way. I'm trying to take care of him. I'm trying to do my job. Like, that's my job, is to take care of him. Like, yes, I recognize that you're in a relationship, but, like, I'm the one that's certified. Like, get out of my way. Like, that's not what she meant. she definitely meant it in a way that, like, oh, like, I know how to take care of him, you don't know how to take care of him, so that means that I'm better fit to be his partner, and I love him more than you do. Like, it was more of that rather than, like, a professional thing. Like, everything she did just felt so unprofessional. Like, I hope the board of nursing rescinds her license because it was absolutely ridiculous, the things that she was pulling. And, like, I can't stand her. Like, if the series was a 10, I had to drop it a couple points because of her. Luckily, like, she kind of gets written off pretty randomly. Like, oh yeah, and the good thing is that, you know, in Kawana and Ayukawa's little break that they had in their relationship, Nagakawa never got her feelings reciprocated by Ayukawa, which was really good because that would have really, like, I would have dropped the series. I would have quite literally dropped the series if Ayukawa, like, reciprocated feelings for Nagakawa. Like, I'm so serious. It was awful. One plot hole I did notice on the topic of Nagakawa is that she actually, like, long story short, Kawana ends up in a different city. Nagakawa literally goes to that city and visits just to talk to Kawana and be like, oh yeah, by the way, me and Aikawa are dating now. Obviously, she's lying. This never comes up again. I wish that it would have came up again. I wish that Kawana would have been like, oh, like, Nagakawa said you guys were dating. And then Aikawa would have been like, what? And then it would have been a whole thing. And it would have been really nice to see Aikawa, like, grow to hate her. Yeah. I think he deserves to hate her as much as I do. It would have been nice to see him be like, wow, like, she was a huge bitch. But alas, I think that the author was trying to, you know, get Miss Girl out of the situation as quickly as possible because she dug a big hole for herself. We could talk about the ending of the series now. I thought the ending was really sweet. Like, once we got through all the drama with the romance and they actually got together and, like, were having a good relationship, I thought that the series was really good. Like, the series shines the most when you have the side characters and you have, like, just Aikawa and Kawana being in a relationship. I think that those were the best parts of the series, and it's so sad because they were really good, but yeah. Anyways, the ending of the series, I guess this is spoilers, but not really, because it's like, you know the song. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby and a baby carriage. They try to have a child. They, of course, try first with the traditional way. Not really traditional way, but, like, getting her pregnant, but that ends up not working, so they do move on to adoption, and they adopt a kid, and it's very sweet. The kid is very cute, and, like, the three of them together is absolutely adorable, and the moment where they, like, tell the child that he's actually adopted was actually really sweet. I thought the ending was really nice, and I just really liked the series other than the middle part. But I'd be lying if I wasn't, like, interested. Like, I hated it, but I was flipping the pages. Let's be real. I was hating every page, but I was flipping it. Like, I didn't drop it. So overall, I thought the series was great. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, those 2 points were detected just because of the nurse lady. I could not stand her, but I will say, if you want a romance that has, like, more marginalized people's represented in it, I think that it does a really good job with the disabilities. Like, you can tell that the author really spent time to learn more about, like, I think they talked to a famous architect who is wheelchair bound. They talked to, like, adoption agencies to get more information on that. They just, like, did a lot of research, and you can tell based on, like, the way that the series was told, even if the romance, the love triangles were stupid, like, it never was stupid and disrespectful. It was just stupid, you know? So, yeah, I recommend it. If you could, like, if you low-key like drama, if you low-key like stupid drama, but also like marginalized people's being represented in a manga, I think Perfect World was really good. Those are my thoughts. Sorry, it was kind of long. It's a long series. I spent a lot of time reading it, and I was really mad for half of it, so. Next, we'll be discussing the 2 series that I mentioned last month that I was going to complete last month, but I didn't. The first one is Tokyo Ghoul. I have them backwards, so this is volume 14. But, yeah. And I also started reading Re, so we'll kind of talk about both of them at the same time. So, Tokyo Base, the first half of the series, was very, very good. We follow our main lead, Kaneki. Oh, there he is! I didn't know that I would have a cover of him, but there's Kaneki. Yeah, he starts to navigate the world of ghouls after he is turned from human into a ghoul. The thing I like about Tokyo Ghoul is that they really have me sympathizing with human eaters, bro. I think that all the ghouls are treated so awful, in the series, and I just wish that they could find happiness in some way, but of course the government would never allow that. My favorite character is Kaneki, of course. I feel like most people's favorite character is Kaneki, so that's not really special, but I like his character development so far. Like, obviously he's slipping into madness. We love that for him, but I like the way that he still has an ounce of his humanity. Like, I think of, not to like make, actually I'm not going to make the comparison. I think you guys know what path I was going on with my comparison, but yeah, I don't like that character, but I like this guy. I like how he still has like an ounce of his humanity and like his, just like the way he was at the beginning, like, is still there. Like, obviously when his ghoul switch turns on, like, he goes crazy, but when he goes back into like his more regular mode, like, he's still very docile and like very friendly towards everyone, especially like Hinami. That's like, I don't know, his daughter slash niece slash something, I don't know, but I like their relationship. I think that it's a very cute little bond that they have. I'm very curious to see what happens to him and Ri. We'll talk about Ri later, but I'm very curious to see what happens with him. My second favorite character is Nishiki. I have a thing for characters where like you didn't like them at the beginning, but then they have like a sympathy arc, and then you're like, oh, like I kind of feel bad for them. I like those characters. So that's basically his plot. But when you think about it, this is what I like about Tokyo Ghoul, is that when you really think about that concept of like, oh, I didn't like Nishiki at first, but now I do. The only reason that you didn't like Nishiki is because you didn't have sympathy for ghouls yet. Think about it. And like, it's interesting how my perspective on ghouls changes alongside Kaneki. Like, as he, gets deeper integrated into the ghoul world, obviously, like, he realizes that he's more of a ghoul than he thought, so he needs to start accepting that side of himself. You start to sympathize with the ghouls as well, so. I liked Nishiki's, like, sympathy arc with his girlfriend. I thought that was really sweet. And then, obviously, like, he has a little sass to him, and he's pretty charming, too. Like, honestly, I let him hit, so. Yeah, that's Nishiki. And then my third favorite character would be Toka. I feel like she hasn't gotten as much character development as I would like so far, but I think Ri will kind of get deeper into it. I think I vaguely know something happens with her at the end. Maybe? I feel like something happens with her at the end related to Kaneki. I feel like I remember somebody talking to me about that in high school. So with that said, I think that she will get character development, but I like how, she's slowly coming to accept humans and like kind of coexist with them, especially with her one friend in her school where, the friend would cook for her and she would still eat the food even though she can't. And, she's trying to go to college. I can't remember. Well, I don't think in Ri we've gotten too deep to knowing anything about Toka right now, but I know she was trying to go to college. I think she was trying to go to the same college as Nishiki and also Kaneki, which I think is like a famous school. I don't know, but she was trying to go to college, and I love that for her. I want nothing but the best for my daughter, so. And of course, the art in Tokyo Ghoul is absolutely fantastic. I love the paneling. I think that they do a good job of like juxtaposing things and like making parallelisms between, like maybe a backstory into like the present time to show like how the backstory still affects that character to this day. I think that the paneling is really, really good in Tokyo Ghoul. Also, like, the expression of emotions in a lot of the characters' like faces is really, like, without words, I'm just like, wow. Like the Kaneki like torture scene in volume like 7 during the Aogiri tree thing arc, his descent into madness was so, like, gives me goosebumps every single time. So that's kind of my review on the base of Tokyo Ghoul. We could talk about the ending of that and then get into Ri as well. So I guess spoilers for the base of Tokyo Ghoul and then spoilers for Ri as well. I thought the ending was kind of weird. Like, I think I was expecting more things to happen on the pages rather than what happened. I feel like they just told us things instead of showing us things, which is fine because I think that kind of builds into Ri. But it just felt a little like anticlimactic, the ending. I think I was just expecting the ending to like be its own thing and then Ri be like kind of its own thing, like that the ending would be a very coherent thing and then it would just be like, oh, time skip, X years later, more things are happening, One thing about the ending is that, so Kaneki has a childhood friend who, things happen and this guy comes back around. And when Kaneki and him run into each other, I was expecting more to happen. Like, I know I've seen anime clips where I'm pretty sure the friend dies. Like, Hideyoshi dies and Kaneki's like carrying him. I'm pretty sure that's a scene that I've seen from the anime. But I just found out through the comment section of my last video that apparently the anime has like a very, very, very different plot. I knew it was different, but I didn't know it was different like that. So I guess he just dies in the manga he lives. Or it's a little unclear right now whether he's alive or not, but I'm gonna assume he's alive because they would have said he was dead if he was dead, right? So we can get into oh, I forgot another thing about the ending. So the CCG, I hate them, ACAB, whatever. But there were two characters in the CCG that I like, and that's Juzo, obviously. The only one that, like, I don't know, he's kind of a ghoul. In his heart, I feel like he's a ghoul. And then Mado. No, not Mado. The guy who was partners with Mado. The like, young, like, Mado, as in the adult guy, like, or, like, the old guy. The younger guy that was partners with him. And then the one that, he was also partners with Mado, the lady. I don't remember his name, so maybe I didn't like him that much. But him, I think he's on one of the covers. Oh, no, I think he's on, like, one of the other covers. But yeah, I liked him a lot. And I was very surprised to see him die. I didn't think he was gonna die. Like, I thought there was more to him that we could explore, but he died. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Let's get into Ri now. Okay, so Ri follows a new guy named Sasaki, which, you know, I spoiled myself on this low-key, because I was like, who is this guy? Like, I don't want to follow anyone who's not Kaneki. Turns out, Sasaki is actually Kaneki with, like, he repressed his Kaneki emotions. So now he's just Sasaki. This is introduced pretty early on, so I'm glad that it wasn't, like, a huge spoiler. And also, like, you could tell. Like, you could look at this guy and be like, oh, he kind of looks like Kaneki. I'm sure it's Kaneki because why would they get rid of Kaneki, right? So, it's not a huge spoiler, but yeah. They haven't really, like, dug too deep into this as of where I'm at right now, but they have, like, you know, hinted it and, like, sprinkled it in there, so I think that the developments are coming soon. But yeah, so we follow this guy. He is in the CCG. Turns out the CCG have, like, unlocked a new form of technology to fight the ghouls, and that's actually just creating ghouls in their office. So, you know, they create one-eyed ghouls. These ghouls aren't as, like, ghoul as, like, Kaneki and Rize's, like, spawns. I think their RC levels are a lot lower because obviously the CCG still wants to be able to use these guys for their profits. I like this concept of, like, them creating ghouls in the laboratory because it really plays into how CCG is, like, so unethical and awful. Because there's a scene where I don't really remember what the context was, but I just remember that Sasaki was in the office with the, like, lab guy, and the lab guy was like, oh, like, make sure you don't put too much RC cells in this guy because if you do, then they're not gonna be able to eat, like, regular food, and that's awful. And Sasaki was literally sitting there like, hey, I can't eat regular food. I'm basically a ghoul. I don't even know why I'm here right now. Yeah, anyways, the CCG is extremely unethical, and I hate them. But I will say that the new cast of characters is very cute. There's, so Sasaki's, like, the leader of all the little ghoul hybrid things, and it's really cute because it's like a little found family. I love a good found family. So, you know, they're a little dysfunctional. They're doing their best. The CCG kind of is, like, side-eyeing them, but they're really doing their best out there. And right now I'm in the auction arc, and my issue with Tokyo Ghoul Re right now is actually, like, I feel like there's just a overwhelming amount of characters because, you know, you have the characters from the previous series, like, basically, like, all of the main people are still around and still there. And especially, like, the ghouls, they're wearing their masks. You're supposed to remember, like, what their masks were. And, like, I guess this is, like, a new time skip type of design for them. You're supposed to remember all of that. You're supposed to remember the CCG people. I don't remember the CCG people. And then you're supposed to remember all these new characters. And it's just, there's so many characters right now, especially in this arc. And they introduce... I think that at least when I was reading Ri, I didn't think I was supposed to remember all the names of the CCG people. I thought they were just kind of throwing them around just so that you had a name. But I think you were supposed to remember the names, which makes Ri really difficult to get through because I'm a little confused. And I feel, like, embarrassed to say that I'm confused because I don't think it's supposed to be that confusing. I think that if I was, like, paying really deep attention to all the characters, I wouldn't be confused. But there's a lot of people. And then also, like, I haven't been reading as deeply as I was when I was reading the regular one. I think it's, like, the transition from physical to digital, because I'm reading on the Shonen Jump app now. It slowed me down a lot, so I'm gonna actually try to see if they have it at the library so I can check it out and then just try to binge it, because I think if I binge it and, like, focus on it more, I will be able to like know what's going on better. I might just reread the whole auction arc from the beginning. So I will be continuing with Re. Like I said, I'm gonna try to see if they have it at the library because that would be super clutch. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next. I don't know if I'll finish it next month. Maybe the month after I'll finish Re, because it's a bit longer than Tokyo Ghoul, and I'm not that deep into it yet. But those are my thoughts on Tokyo Ghoul. So far, so good. Let's see what happens in Re. And last but not least for today's video, we have a heavy thing right here. Oh lord, it is the Princess Jellyfish box set. I finished whatever the series is called, Princess Jellyfish. I finished Princess Jellyfish, the star of the show today. TLDR, I put this in my top 10 of all time. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I will start this off by saying that I don't think that the series is perfect, but I think that I read it at a time of my life where I needed it, so that's why I like it so much. Yeah, so basically the story follows our boarding house of sorts where just a bunch of girls who are otakus in their own right, and they spend a lot of time indulging in their hobbies. They don't really like talking to people outside or doing anything in the outside world. They just want to stay in their own little worlds of the otaku world. So this kind of gets turned on its head when Tsukimi, the jellyfish otaku, she actually runs into a very pretty person on the streets named Kuranosuke. He's a cross-dressing guy, very attractive, and what they call in the house a stylish, which is basically just somebody who's very conventionally attractive, very fashion-oriented, who socializes and has a lot of friends and does things. So, yeah. And Kuranosuke is a very gung-ho type of guy, so he puts them on a lot of different endeavors, especially they end up having to protest for a redevelopment project that they were going to do on the house that they live in. They end up starting a fashion brand and having a whole runway show and doing pop-up shops and all this stuff, and there's even like an international type of thing that happens too. Like Kuranosuke really puts them through the ringer, but I think along the way he really does impact these girls in a very profound way. So that's why I really like it a lot. I just really love Kuranosuke's free-spirited attitude. I know that he's like rich in the series and he's also like a fictional character, but I hope one day to achieve like the level of optimism that this guy has. He like if he wants something, he gets it done. That's it. Period. He just gets it done, and I really admire that about him. And dude, this guy is so cool. Like, please be serious. And of course, we can't forget Tsukimi in all this. She, has so many new life experiences because of Kuranosuke's influence. She has romantic endeavors. She literally gets recognized for her talents as an artist. I don't think that they talk about this enough, that she drew jellyfish, and she was talented as an artist before she became a fashion designer. Like, Miss Girl was really giving us jellyfish greatness. Yeah, I just really like the cast. More just Tsukimi and Kuranosuke. Like, I like the others too, but I feel like they played more of a role of comic relief. I feel like they didn't get much character development. I wouldn't say that that's a... No, I would say that that's a criticism of the series, that they didn't receive much character development. But, this is a really cute cover. I really like their bond. At first, I was a big proponent of Kuranosuke and Tsukimi being endgame, but I feel like after reading the series and seeing how it ended, I don't think that would have been really good for the series. I think that having them be like platonic soulmates type of vibe was the better way to go. I think that having them be romantically involved would have kind of undermined all of the influence that they had on each other. Yeah. And then another criticism I have is that I didn't really care for Tsukimi and Shu, this guy. They had like a little romance thing. They had no chemistry. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's any like Tsukimi Shu shippers out there, but they had absolutely zero chemistry. I can't believe that they lasted that long. They had Shu flying to Italy to buy her a wedding ring after they dated for like X amount of time, and that X was a small number. I don't remember the number, but it was definitely less than a year, which was really throwing me. Another big critique I have of the series, which like it's not that, I don't know, my critiques aren't like super groundbreaking or like make or break the series, but one thing I did find funny is that like I feel like they throw plot points around and they kind of just go away. Like they get resolved, but they just go away, and it's kind of funny. Like the house redevelopment thing, like I didn't realize it until I was trying to recommend the series to my friend, and I was like flipping through one of the first books, and I was like, oh yeah, remember that part where like the land shark lady tries to sleep with Shu in order to like blackmail him so that she can buy the house from the girls. Oh, I forgot about that. Like that was like a big plot point for a big majority of the series, but I feel like towards the end, the author starts to bite more than they can chew with the plot points because we go to Singapore, bruh. Going to Singapore is crazy because the Singapore guy buys the house. And then, like, that whole thing gets thrown away because whatever. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm confused. No, I wasn't confused, but I wasn't confused in the sense that I didn't know what was happening. Like, I knew what was happening. I was just unsure why. It's all good for me because, you know, I actually enjoyed the fashion parts more than the political parts. So, like, basically just the political parts of the series. I liked them designing the clothes and stuff. You know, my favorite part of the series is actually, you know, when they're first starting the startup company and, like, first designing the dresses and, like, making the first dress. And they designed the clothes for one of these, like, theater performances at Kuronosuke's Academy. And their first runway show, like all of those parts of the series were really endearing to me because it was just very inspirational to see them work through the ropes of trying to start a fashion brand. Overall, like I really love the series so much, and I hope you guys give it a try. The box set's pretty nice. I mean, not really, it's just a box that puts the books in, like the price is nice. That's my thoughts on Princess Jellyfish. I love it so much. I hope to be like Kuronosuke when I grow up, except I think he's younger than me. So that is it. We've reached the end of the manga reading log for this month. I've been filming for a long time. I got really passionate about those last 3 series, I can't lie. So yeah, I've been really consistent with these so far for the first quarter of the year. So hopefully we can keep it up. Yes, leave a like if you enjoyed and comment down below anything that you've been reading recently. I'm always open for recommendations or anything. So yeah, just let me know. And I do want to also briefly mention that I did open my TikTok account. Yeah, if you guys are interested in following me, then I'll leave my information on the screen so you guys can check it out. I will say that I probably won't be posting the same content that I post on here. It'll be different, probably tapping into like some of my other hobbies. So like if you like K-pop and fashion and style and cosplay and stuff like that, then I think that will be more up your alley. I will have manga content as well, but like I do want to channel into like some of my other hobbies on there. Thank you for watching and have a great day.